This is the John Mr. Games Productions. The only staff member and employee.
Allison.
I am the lead director, designer, developer, artist, musician, composer, as the cool kids in the industry call it. I'm all those things. The game is called I Am Awa. Now, what do you do in I Am Awa? You are a green ball who's trying to reach the black square in 4 different levels in under 120 seconds across the whole time. If you can complete the whole 4 stages in that time, you're rewarded by getting a higher score. So every single second counts down, you lose 1 of your score points, and your ultimate goal is to 1, complete the game, and then 2, get the highest score that you possibly can, and show that you're the coolest person in the world. Now, who is the intended audience of this game? People who played Flash games. I think a big important context for this is when I was younger, and I hope everyone else in the class, when they were younger, they played a lot of Flash games on like Armor Games, Miniclip, those kinds of websites. They had a lot of Flash games, and they had a lot of very interesting random things like Vector TD, Fancy Pants, those kinds of games where you're not really sitting there thinking about the story or about like what's going on. You're kind of just sitting there like, oh yeah, this is fun. You're just sitting there and just chilling and listening to music and the sound effects and just having a baller time. Now, what platforms is this intended for? Any computing device with a browser. That could be a Windows computer, a Mac, an iPad with a plugged-in keyboard. I don't really know if Safari would fully support this, but so be it. All these things can access if they have control over HTML5. They can function. HTML5 is I'm not going to call it the exact replacement of Flash, but it can be used in this case as a replacement for Flash. And in general, it is a wonderful way to have people who have access to any browser be able to play a game. Now, for an ESRB rating. If I ever hypothetically wanted to pay for an ESRB rating, it would be an E for everyone. There's nothing offensive in the game. There's nothing that would trigger anything that would cause them to give me a negative rating. However, I'm not going to do that because it's an online game. They usually don't rate online games because those independent developers don't have the money to want to get reviewed anyways, and that the ESRB only really helps for like AAA studios, and I'm not one of those people. So I wouldn't pay for one, but if I did get one, it would be everyone, at the worst, everyone 10 plus. Now, here's my storyboard. The background for this game, specifically and why I made it the way it was because I was listening to the album Human Story 3 by James Ferraro. Now, this album expresses concepts of disliking of the modern internet because of the algorithmically driven content and also the constant connection to this internet through phones. Now, this inspired me to make a game for computers in the way that I used to play games when I was a little kid, which was I used to play a lot of Club Penguin, or on gaming consoles, ignoring gaming consoles. I used to play a lot of like Club Penguin, Miniclip, Armor Games, those kinds of things where you would play in a flash game in your browser, and you would only have access to it when you had your computer. Now you can see the art here. This is a kind of redrawing of the first level, a simplistic version of it. You can see the green ball that you control. You see the black square, which is the exit. You see the pink platforms and the purple outer wall, and you also see the red thing that shoots you up in the air. Now, I also put on the side the sound effect, the application I used to make the sound effects, FL Studio, and this sound effects music, other things in the game, and it was very enjoyable process. As for the controls, these are outlined on the first slide of the game when you first open it. You're going to be shown the controls in plain text along with the extra music controls. The controls are WASD, as with most games, it's either WASD or the arrow keys, and I also used UIOP for the music controls because I wanted to have music in the background that continues to play as you're playing, because I think it's important to have that in a game where you're not really going to be thinking as much. It's going to be more mindless. And also, I put the controls to turn the screen on the mouse button, which for most people is going to be on the right hand, 95% of the population. So in doing so, they're going to have their left hand on the WASD keys, and they're going to have the right hand free or on the UIOP keys. They can just take their hand off the UIOP keys and click on the mouse to move the screen forward, so they don't accidentally click any button or key on their keyboard to progress the screen when they're not prepared and end up messing up their whole chances of doing that run. In finality, I would like to thank James Ferraro for having his artistic mind and artistry in order to make an album such as Human Story 3. And I would also like to thank the developers on Flash in the 2000s and early 2010s, very early 2010s, for making these games that have impacted how I view technology in different ways and reflect on it positively. Thank you.